So one of the things we got from the new box is a new skill, and we got Destiny Effect. I think the major buff for Destiny heroes is not from the new box, it's from this skill. Let's go over it real quick. You can use one of the following effects once each during a duel in which you have normal summoned a Destiny hero monster, and after you use the skill, you cannot normal summon or set or special summon monsters during the main phase, except Destiny hero monsters and monsters from the extra deck. So there are 3 effects. You could use all 3 in the same turn. It doesn't have a restriction where you can only choose one of them per turn. So let's go over them. The first one is to set a poly from outside the deck and also send a melee from outside the deck to your graveyard. Second one is to boost all your monsters on the field with level 8 or higher by a 200 attack. And the third one is from the third turn or onward, you can return one banished Destiny hero monster to your deck, and then add a plasma from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and then return 1 card from your hand back to the deck. So what the skill does is basically, if you normal summon a Destiny hero monster, you get a free fusion because you get both the poly and a malicious in your graveyard, which can banish itself to summon another malicious from your deck, and that is enough material plus a poly to immediately make the fusion. And in the new box, we also got the new fusion, which is Dystopia, and Dystopia is a pretty good boss monster that we can make turn 1, and it has a quick effect that pops cards. Anyway, let's go over the cards one by one. First off, we have Plasma. We have to play this card because the third effect of the skill can search it, and also return one of your banished Destiny hero monsters back to your deck. So even if you're not summoning Plasma, we need the skill to shuffle back our banished malicious back to the deck so we can summon another one from our deck, because as you can see, we only have 2 malicious available in Duel Links. So shuffling one of your banished malicious back to the deck will allow you to have more targets to summon from your deck. So Plasma, even if we don't summon it, it's still pretty useful for our skill to activate to get it to your hand, and you can always just put it back to the deck if you don't really need to use Plasma, because you are allowed to send back the Plasma that you search with your skill and put it back into your deck. But this card does come up sometimes when you're facing against monster-heavy strategies like Raging Pendulums. If they don't have any back row, this card is really, really strong against those decks, because while this card is on the field, it negates all the effects of other monsters on your opponent's side of the field. And this is a continuous effect. It's like skill drain, but only for your opponent. So if your opponent is playing a monster-heavy deck, they can't activate their effects. And also, even though it has a really low attack at 1900, it can increase its own attack by equipping one of your opponent's monsters to itself, and this card will gain half of that monster's attack. And hopefully that will make your Plasma have high enough attack that your opponent won't be able to beat over it that easily. Next is Malicious. We need to play this card because the skill sends a melee from outside the deck to your graveyard, and you need to play Malicious in your deck so that Malicious with your skill can have a target to summon from deck. And we're playing 2 because we only have 2, and this card has the effect to banish itself from the graveyard to special summon another Malicious from your deck. And we really don't want to draw this card, but even if we do, we can always send it to the graveyard with polymerization, or we can send it back to the deck using the third effect of the skill. Next is our normal summons. We have Decider. This is really useful because during the end phase, when it is summoned, you can grab back a Destiny hero from the graveyard back to your hand, and that gives you a discard cost for cards like Ultimate Providence, which is pretty useful. It also has a second effect that we won't use. Next is a Celestial. We could get 2 copies of this from the structure deck as a free-to-play, which is pretty useful. And when this card declares an attack, you can destroy a face-up spell card and inflict a bit of damage. This is quite useful against decks like Pendulums or Dark Magicians to pop your circles. But the most useful effect of this card is to banish itself plus another Destiny hero to draw 2 cards, but you can only activate this effect if you have no cards in your hand. This is your main way for getting follow-up, because this effect cannot be used during the turn it is sent to the graveyard, but during your third turn, you can always draw 2 cards for free, basically. And final normal summon is a Drill Dog. We can get 3 copies from the structure deck as a free-to-play, which is quite useful. And when it's normal special summoned, you can special summon a Destiny hero monster from your hand with an attack less than or equal to this card's attack on the field. And also this effect is a hard once per turn. And also it has piercing. So this is your main way of getting multiple monsters on your field other than using malicious. And because Drill Dog and the target that you summon with Drill Dog is level 4, you can make an Xyz monster with those 2 monsters and potentially just win the game with your Xyz monsters. And for our spell, we have Rhoda. This gets us the... most of the time we will be grabbing Celestial because it draws us 2 cards, but sometimes you will want to get the Drill Dog if you already have Celestial, so you can summon both of them from your hand. And next up is our Trap lineup. Because this deck can function with a single normal summon, we have a lot of space for heavy back row. And some of our traps that we're playing, of course, you can replace any of the traps that we use in this deck with your own favorite staple traps, or if you don't have those cards, you can always replace them with other staples like Book of Moon, those kind of stuff. But this is the trap lineup that we are playing. We're playing 1 Crackdown because it's from the same box, playing 2 Floodgate because of box chips, we're playing 3 Ultimate Providence because Decider grabs us back a monster for Providence to discard, and of course we're playing 3 copies of Cloak and Dagger. For the extra deck, we are playing 3 fusions. We're playing, of course, the new fusion monster Dystopia. When it is special summoned, you can target a level 4 or lower Destiny hero from a graveyard and inflict damage to your opponent equal to half that monster's attack. And also during either player's turn, if this card's current attack is different from its original attack, you can change it back to its original attack and then destroy a card on the field. So you will get this effect to activate by using the second effect of your skill to boost its attack permanently for 200. So during your opponent's turn, you can always use this effect whenever you want to pop one of your opponent's cards, which is quite useful. And next is our 2 other fusion monsters. We'll talk about Dangerous first. This requires a Destiny hero monster plus a Dark Effect monster. And as a quick effect, you can discard a card, send a Destiny hero from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and then Destiny hero monsters you control gain 200 attack for every Destiny hero monster in your graveyard until the end of a turn. This effect is useful to both mill Destiny heroes from your deck and also boost the attack of your Dystopia, because the skill is only once per duel. So if you want to activate this effect multiple times, you will use the effect of a Dangerous to boost its attack, so it can activate more than once. And finally, we have Vision Hero Trinity. This is a big fusion monster requiring 3 hero monsters, and it cannot attack directly. And during the turn it is fusion summoned, this attack becomes double its original attack. And also it can attack 3 times during each battle phase, which is a really, really powerful effect that could very easily clear your opponent's entire board. And because we are also playing so many level 4 monsters, and because Drill Dog summons a Destiny hero from your hand, we're also playing some rank 4 Xyz monsters. We're playing Dark Rebellion, and we're playing number 27, the Dreadnoid, and this card will be able to summon a copy of Great Magnus, which is quite useful. It has a really high attack and defense, and also it has a quick effect to spin back cards that your opponent controls back to the deck. And last up is our 2 Link monsters. Power Code is just there because it's a generic Link free that's free to play. And extra hero Wonder Driver. This card needs 2 hero monsters as the link materials, and if a hero monster is a normal or special summon to a zone this card points to, you can target a poly spell card, a fusion spell card, or a change quick play spell card in your graveyard and set that target. You can only activate this effect once per turn. And also, if this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, or destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon a hero monster from your hand. One thing you have to remember is that the effect that sets poly from your graveyard is mandatory, so it will trigger if you accidentally summon a monster to a zone points to, and because it is hard once per turn, you can't activate this effect anymore during the same turn. So you have to be careful to only summon a monster to the zone that it points to when you have a target in your graveyard, otherwise you will waste this effect. Okay, here we have the expensive version of that deck. We are playing 3 copies of Celestial because that is a really good card. You always want to have it as your normal summon. And we're not playing Decider because we really don't need to. And we were playing just more better generic staples like Book of Moon, Cosmic, Crackdown, and a Warning Point. We're also playing 1 Miracle Fusion because of the card that we are playing in our extra deck. So instead of the Vision Hero Trinity and the Dangerous, we're playing 2 copies of a Sunrise because even though it is an elemental hero monster, it is not restricted with the skill because it is from the extra deck. And also the way that we're summoning it is using Wonder Driver because Sunrise requires 2 hero monsters with different attributes, and because all of your Destiny heroes are dark, you need a way to get a non-dark hero monster. And Wonder Driver is a light, so this will fulfill the requirement for the materials for Sunrise. So what you will do usually is in your first turn, you will normal summon a Destiny hero and then activate the skill's first effect to fusion summon a Dystopia. And then during your next turn, you will activate the effect of Malicious in your graveyard plus your normal summon to link summon a Wonder Driver, and then you will use the malicious effect again to summon to a zone that it points to, and then you will grab back the fusion, the polymerization in your graveyard, and then you activate the poly, fusion summoning using the Wonder Driver and the malicious on your field to make a Sunrise. And then Sunrise will grab a Miracle Fusion, and then Miracle Fusion will banish the Wonder Driver plus any Destiny hero monster in your graveyard to make the second Sunrise, and that itself is a pretty powerful OTK tool. And for the rest of the extra deck, we're playing 1 copy of Malevolent Sin, we're playing the Nightmares, and rest, like, I really like playing this card because it's a pretty good link 4, and it really helps OTKing because it has an effect to boost its attack equal to the attack of 1 of your link monsters in your graveyard, and if you chuck a Unicorn, that itself is enough for lethal. So I really like playing this card, but you of course can play anything else you want. You could play more rank 4s, but I'm just playing 1 because I just like links more and because it works better with malicious specifically. But yeah, you could play more rank 4s if you want, and you can play any other staples if you wish. Okay, so let's have a little discussion about what this deck can do and what this deck is weak to. So this deck is really good at having a linear combo that only requires 1 card in your hand. You only would need a Destiny hero that can be normal summoned, and you could immediately activate your skill and make your copy of Dystopia. And that allows this deck to have a lot of 1-card starters, which is really good to allow the deck to have a lot of space to play good generic staple back row to protect your Dystopia. And also because you will send a malicious to your graveyard, and because of the third effect of your skill, shuffling back 1 of your malicious back to the deck, this also gives the deck a really good follow-up because you will always have more copies of malicious to summon from a deck and make your link monsters or fusion summon something like a Sunrise. And also, Plasma is a really, really powerful card if your opponent doesn't have a lot of back row. This negates all monsters on the field as a continuous effect, and also it can get rid of your opponent's monsters without destroying them because it equips that monster to itself, and also it gains quite a bit of attack if you target a huge monster. And sometimes this card will win you the game on its own, and because of the malicious that you have in your graveyard, you basically always have material to summon Plasma, plus something like a Crackdown to steal opponent's monsters. Having 3 monsters on your field to summon Plasma is not that big of a problem for the deck. Okay, what are the major problems of this deck is that the end board is most of the time just only a single Dystopia, and a single Dystopia is not not that unbeatable. It's just a single card pop. A lot of meta decks can play through a single pop, and also it can be prevented by Book of Moon, and also if you're going second, because of how the skill works, it sets the poly on your field, so before you activate your poly, your opponent does have a chance to destroy it with something like a MST or a Cosmic Cyclone, because if you only have a single Destiny hero, you are forced to first activate your Mali to summon a Mali from your deck to have 2 Destiny hero monsters for your polymerization to send. And when you activate your Mali, your opponent can chain something like an MST to pop that set poly and prevent you from fusion summoning. And also because of how the skill works, we need to play Malicious in our main deck, which is really bricky if you draw it. Sometimes if you only have a Malicious in your hand and no other Destiny hero monsters to normal summon, you can't do anything. So that there is that problem over there, and also Plasma also doesn't do anything if you don't have monsters on your field, and it's really terrible turn 1, most of the time you can't even summon it. And even if you can, you're more likely to just make a fusion monster like Dystopia and end on that. So yeah, there is still a slight consistency issue with how the deck functions, but it is not that bricky compared to some of the other free-to-play decks. And also, even if you draw Mali, you can still combo if you have another normal summonable Destiny hero monster. You can just always use the Mali that you draw as a fusion material, but it always sucks to have one less usable card you have in your starting hand. Anyway, let's have a look at the replays. Okay, this time we are going first. This deck loves going first because of all the amount of staple traps we are playing. And we draw Celestial, which is probably the best normal summon. But because we have Providence, I might have preferred drawing a copy of a Decider so I can recycle itself back to the hand for a discard cost with a counter trap. But we'll activate our skill, fusion summon the fusion monster, boost its attack, and then set free pass. Our opponent does have a Book of Moon, so we have a single cloak to sub our opponent. Because of Providence, Providence needs a discard and we don't have any cards in our hand, so yeah, we will declare Kimerdor with the cloak. That's the Link monster. We will prevent our opponent from making the Link. They're gonna make the Xyz instead. And we draw the worst card in our deck. That's fine, we still have Malicious to stall our opponent, hopefully. Hopefully they will activate a monster effect, so we can activate Providence to discard the Plasma. And because the skill also searches from the graveyard, the third effect skill also grabs Plasma from the graveyard, it's fine if we discard it. Our opponent will activate the Link Monsters effect, that's perfect, we will negate that with our Providence, and that will end our opponent's turn with no monsters on the field. And for a turn, we draw the Decider, which is really, really good. Now we could activate Celestial since we don't have cards in our hand, and we can make the Wonder Driver. Our opponent will Warning Point, and that's fine, they still don't have any monsters, so as long as they don't have monsters on the field, we can still win this game pretty easily. They will set another warning point to negate our Drill Dark, and I guess we'll attack with our Wonder Driver. We'll set 2 and pass back to our opponent. Our opponent will normal summon Terror Baby. They're gonna revive the Destroy. We'll declare Destroy with Cloak, which will banish it when it summons. Our opponent will book their own monster, but it doesn't work that way, so they are going to scoop. Okay, in our second game, we are unfortunately going second, but let's see what our opponent can do. They're playing Resonators, which is quite terrifying because Red Rain is a really good card, and it will counter our normal summons. And it also banishes the Mali, which is a bit of a problem. We don't want it to be banished, we want it to be in the graveyard. And of course, they will be able to do their entire combo because this deck is nuts. It's really, really consistent, but for some reason, they're only summoning one tuner off of the Crimson Resonator, and you're gonna end on a Void Ogre Dragon for some reason. We're gonna still attempt to do our combo. We're gonna summon 2 level 4s and activate the skill, but we're not gonna fusion summon. We're gonna make the Dreadnought attack our opponent's monster, and they are going to Chalice. And that prevents us from making Great Magnus, but we still have a monster on field, and Dreadnought could prevent itself from being destroyed by detaching a material, so at least we won't lose this turn. Our opponent will attack, we will detach, and pass it back to us, and because our opponent has cards in their hand, they can't negate with a Void Ogre Dragon anymore, which is pretty good. Our opponent will chalice our monster, but that's fine, we will still be able to fusion summon a Dystopia. And without the negate, our fusion summon will be successful. We activate our skill to boost our monster's attack during Red Rain, but because Dystopia is level 8, it is also not affected by the Red Rain. And our opponent tries to attack, we will pop our opponent's Void Ogre. We will make a bunch of monsters on the field for our Wonder Driver to Link Summon. We activate the skill again to shuffle back the Mali in our hand and the banished Mali to grab a Plasma. We will Mali again to activate the Wonder Driver's set effect. We will activate the Poly, fusion summoning using the Plasma and the Mali to make a Dangerous. And even though we don't have cards for Dangerous to discard, that is still a 2000 attack monster that we can use to attack our opponent. And we'll attack with both of our fusion monsters. Our opponent has a really low life point left, and they are going to scoop. Okay, this is the expensive version of the deck, and I'm feeling pretty good with this deck because I think this deck, as the expensive version, might be able to be tiered at least. It's probably like tier 3 material. And we did open pretty well, even though we did have triple copies of Drill Dark, but that's still enough for combo. And we will be able to activate our skill to make Dystopia. Our opponent does have a Book of Rune for that, but that's still fine. We're gonna use the 2 monsters to make a Wonder Driver. And Malicious Effect will be able to summon a monster into a zone that it points to. And we will set back the Poly, we'll activate Poly to fusion summon Sunrise. And Sunrise Effect will activate, grabbing a Miracle Fusion, and we can activate the Miracle Fusion to make a second Sunrise, and our opponent realizes that, and they are going to scoop.